Hello there. Welcome to Celebrate Southern Africa. It's been a while. And so I thought, what a better way to kick off the new season of chats is with this amazing lady that I was watching a BBC program about Dragon's Den, and I heard her accent and I went, oh, she's one of us. I've got to talk to this amazing lady. And it was so amazing that you got an investment. I was cheering you on. I was like, oh, come on, invest with this amazing lady. So welcome, Gaynor. How exciting to chat to you.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So your journey really, I mean, you must be at quite a high now when it comes to business, but you started here in the UK. So you were born here. Where were you born?
I was actually born in Manchester, and then my younger brother, there's 9 months, 2 weeks difference between us, and he was really unwell. And they said to my parents, you need to go to a warmer climate. So that's how we landed up in South Africa.
I think we all need a warmer climate for our physical and mental health.
Definitely. It's one of the hardest things to adapt to, I think, when you move away is the climate.
Yeah, but it's a tough one. You know, it really is tough, and you have to make a life for yourself wherever you are. And that's what I think, we're resilient. You know,
Yeah.
we as growing up in Africa and experiencing life there, I think we have this capacity to just get in and get on with things. Is that how you felt in business?
Yeah, I definitely do. You know, my mom and my dad were engineers, so they worked with the mines in South Africa, and then sanctions hit us hard. And all the equipment that we used to import, we couldn't get anymore, you know, just literally from one day to the next. And you had to be really inventive. And we had to find channels where you could send them here to there and then eventually get them into South Africa. So I think that's also why we have such strong entrepreneur spirits, because you just had to make it happen. No wasn't an option. You know, there's nothing to fall back on in South Africa. I think that's what people abroad don't realize, how lucky they are to have social service and stuff like that. We don't have that. If you don't work, you literally don't have a home, you don't have a living, you know. So
Yeah, it's an amazing concept just for us to realize. And I think sometimes to remind our fellow British or wherever we're living in the US or Australia or Italy, that, you know, that's where we come from, but also to just not take advantage of what we have or take for granted what we have as well in the first world, which is a lesson I think we can all teach everybody. That's first lesson number one from a South African.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate what you have, because you have no idea what it's like without it. So you ended up then in kind of southern suburbs of Johannesburg, and you went to school in Alberton, and then you decided in 93 to come back. What made you come back here?
I had traveled quite extensively for 18 months, but my partner at the time had done military training while I traveled. So we decided, we had 2 little babies that hadn't started school yet. So we literally came to the UK to do a year or two, travel a bit, and then go back, you know. And then we landed up just loving it here, actually, and loving the traveling. You know, having Europe on your doorstep is amazing. And yeah, the rest is history. So we stayed.
I think that's so true, because I also came on a 2-year work visa, and I actually on the 29th of January, I just had my 27th year anniversary. So you're pretty much close to your 30th, aren't you? Because it's next year, isn't it? So
showing our age.
I know. I always say I came here when I was 2. But yeah, and the idea was to go back, you know, earn some pounds and then go back to South Africa and start fresh with maybe a house and a car and a, you know, and but that never happened. So I think your story can resonate with a lot of other people. But business wise, how did your business journey start?
Well, we actually started with a South African product in the UK called Biosculpture. It's very famous in South Africa, and they were one of the first nail gels to be introduced to the British market, you know, and we did really well with them, a big South African group. So it was amazing. It was like a home from home. They were a lovely troop to work with. And then we actually sold the business, and we thought about going back to South Africa, because then we had young teenagers, and we wanted to have the lifestyle that we had growing up for them. And we went back. We were there about 18 months, and then we decided that we missed the UK. So strange.
Because things work here. That's the thing. When something breaks down, you know who to ring and it gets fixed.
Absolutely. And it had changed so much. It didn't feel like home anymore, you know. So we came back to the UK, and then I actually split up from my partner at that time. And so we separated, everything like you do. And I had a little eat, love, pray moment thinking, what's my passion? What do I like? And every one of my close friends that I spoke to, they were like, shoes. Just like all the time, shoes. Like even their husbands, apparently they would go shopping and they're going, gosh, those are Gaynor shoes, you know.
That's hilarious. So you know that everybody around you was almost kind of coming behind you and saying shoes are your thing. You've got to do something with shoes. That's amazing.
Yeah. So then I took myself to Florence because I speak Italian, you know, and I thought, right, I'll have a little eat, love, pray moment, see how I feel. And literally having a gelato, happy little moment in summer, walking down a piazza. And I saw this guy measuring someone's foot, and they had all the leathers out. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? And I went in, and he was explaining to me why it was so important to measure, have your foot measured, and how everybody's feet, the breadth. And, you know, there's a big difference between here and here with people's feet. And you'll be amazed, like a minuscule adjustment on a sandal or a shoe makes such a difference to the foot. So the next thing, I'd enrolled on his course and I went back to learn to make shoes. And that's how the pattern, that's how the pattern started, because I suppose for an engineering background, we had to solve problems, you know, anything that went wrong, we had to change or adapt and design. So I grew up with that with my parents, that there was always a solution. That was it. So when I heard that, why do so many shoes don't fit? Like, that's really bad. And of course, I've got 4 kids. So I was like, you can't sell shoes that you know aren't going to fit properly. And that's really how the gliding mechanism for the patent started. So it was finding a way that you could move and get that adjustment in a shoe. Can you see?
Yeah.
So it fits perfectly. And then we adapted the strap so that even on the top here, you can get a perfect fit. And then, of course, COVID hit and people couldn't go into shops to try shoes on. So, of course, this is the perfect solution all around.
That's so clever. So was your course in Italian? The shoe course?
Yes, it was in Italian.
Wow. And how much out of 10 do you think your Italian is?
I'd say about 7.5. Yeah.
Oh, I bet it's more than that, because we always play ourselves down. I bet you're a lot more fluent. So how did Italian come into how did you learn to speak Italian?
I have a lot of friends in Italy, and I went on holiday there a lot. So when you meet people, then I think, as South Africans, we're also open to learning other languages, because we learn Afrikaans in school, and then we did French or Spanish, you know. So I think languages are also something that we pick up quite quickly, because it's second nature to us to learn it. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think also that they say when you learn your second language, the third one's a little bit easier. And when you learn your third, then the fourth one is easier. So what's the next language?
Probably German.
Actually, you know what? A lot of my German friends will say, you should be learning German anyway because of your Afrikaans. It's a Germanic kind of connection. But for some other reason, I don't know. I've always fallen in love with the kind of the romantic languages. I did French, you know, in standard 6 and 7 at school. And then I did Spanish for my degree. And I've always just really loved that. And I traveled a lot through Italy, so I can order a coffee and an ice cream and a beer. And I think that's all, and a glass of wine. And I think that's all you need to be able to say.
Sure.
So now the journey really for you to create these shoes, did you just come back and start making shoes, or did the idea of the patent come first?
Yeah, so we decided to go the patent route, because if you get a licensing agreement, patent pending, and the actual patent granted is a big difference in sums, you know. So it's 4.5 years. I just buckled down, and it's also expensive to pay patent fees, you know. So we were doing a bit of development, but mostly working on the patents. So we started off with a lady shoe, actually,
Wow.
because that's the worst contender. because with lady shoes, there's 30 to 80 components in a shoe, because we all want the little glittery bits and the diamante bits and stuff. And as soon as you glue all that together, then it's completely unrecyclable, because you can't sit and separate all the components, and I also had loads of pairs of shoes and never once thought when I bought them, what is going to happen to these shoes? And when we're making millions and millions of pairs a year, and we know that they're all going to go into landfill, it's not acceptable anymore, And as I said, I was as guilty as everybody else, but now I really can't buy shoes, I think.
So tell us now, what part of this whole process is like, how would your shoes be recycled? What are the components that have made them different?
Because this is the plastic bit, and all shoes have this plastic bit. Okay, they start off with the base unit, and then we attach all the top bits to it. So by being able to just remove the straps, okay, then the bits that aren't recyclable so it's all separated. So the plastic bits can go back and be mulched up and make more plastic, and then these little bits that are all glittery and stuff can be discarded or reused as accessories and other things, And the same with the kiddie shoe, the top straps, when you're making different types of plastics, they can't be recycled together. Like I'm sure everybody knows with plastic bottles, they say take the lid off, because the lid is a different plastic to the actual bottle, and they can't be recycled together, okay? So it's the same for the shoes. The minute that we can separate the top bit, okay, to the different types of plastic, then we can recycle them. And that's how we have to learn to manufacture now. We can't manufacture sticking it all together and think, we don't care. We have to think, okay, there must be a better way of manufacturing that, so that at the end of life, we can reuse or recycle the product, And that's really my passion. I know I got slated with Dragon's Den with the amount of money that I've spent, but it's not really about the money for me. It's that I need to prove that there's a different way of manufacturing shoes, because, it's 1.5% of the carbon footprint. It's huge. It's more than aviation and the oil industry together. Massive.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And to think that we all grew up not wearing shoes at all in Africa.
I still take mine off the minute I get in the house.
I know, isn't it funny? It's so hilarious. So now what made you decide then to go on Dragon's Den? Because there must be other ways of getting investment besides putting yourself in front of millions of people on TV.
Yeah. Look, I'm quite shy in nature, actually. So I think everybody was super shocked when I said, but I think if you're going to be a true entrepreneur, you've got to get yourself out your comfort zone. So yeah, I was nearly throwing up before I went in the den. It's really nervous. It's a massive thing, yeah. But I just thought it's something that I needed to get out there, and I'm still working on a licensing agreement. I would love to work with one of the big shoe brands, and for them to implement this into their manufacturing. So that's the goal eventually, because again, yes, it's about making a change. That's what I would like when, I leave this earth, that I've made a massive impact. And it was difficult in the beginning. A lot of factories were just like, not going to work. They've made shoes that way for hundreds of years. It doesn't need to change. But then COVID actually was one of the positive things of COVID, I think, is that we now know we have to change. We can't go on the way we are,
And it's the trailblazers, the people who come at the beginning with the idea that take the most flack. And then slowly the shift in thinking then kind of takes it on, and it has a life of its own. But it's people like you who say, no, this has to change. And you're right, there are people who've been doing something a certain way for a generation, maybe 3 or 4 generations. They've been making shoes like this, so why does it need to change? We still make a good living for ourselves and our children. But I think having children of your own, also there's a real commitment to what is the world that I'm going to leave for them and their children and their children.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing. And the kiddie shoe, we've actually linked with a lot of charities. So obviously we have all the South African ones close to our heart, like near the Kruger Park. There is the wildlife sanctuary for the little rhinos, you know, and the elephants where from helping them when their parents have been poached and stuff. So we want to educate children about making good choices. And then what we're going to do is each strap will have a little character on it. And then we will send a percentage of funds to that charity. So the kids are going to be very included in the selection. Like we want them to tell us what their favorite animal is. And then we can find a charity and work with that. We've got a beautiful charity in Greece. My daughter went there for the summer where they sit and watch all the eggs of the turtles and make sure that they're okay, and then get them all out to the beach and into the sea, you know. So we've got some awesome charities that are going to do some fabulous content as well. So yeah, it's exciting times. We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. What an exciting journey. So now, what is the process? So if you do apply for like Dragon's Den, because I'm thinking there might be someone watching who says, oh, I don't know, I want to go, but it would be an amazing experience whether I get the money or not. It's the fact that you have to sit and work out exactly what it is that you're going to present, how you're going to pitch. But you just does it start with an online application?
Yes, someone actually put the application through for me.
Because they knew you wouldn't do it.
I got phoned, and said, would I be willing to go on? And at first I was like, oh, and then I thought, yeah, do it, let's see. And they're a great team. The production team were amazing to work with, and they really do make you feel at ease. So it was a lovely process, actually. Definitely one of the highlights of my life,
I'm sure.
Yeah, and they're all lovely. Even the dragons are really lovely people, So so you go through several interviews, and there's obviously lots of paperwork, And so we did a couple of sessions of filming before, and then I think you go through the selection process, and then then you get your date to go in the den and meet the dragons, So
and when you're standing in that lift, are you just like, oh my God, it's like here? Is that like really scary?
Yeah, it's hard because I think for me and my personal thing is everybody that I've spoken to about my shoes has always loved the idea. I haven't really had anyone that picked it apart or said, oh, well, actually this or that. And then even personality wise, I'm quite warm. So you can take time to dislike me, but generally in the beginning, everybody is quite warm to me. And of course, the dragons, none of that matters. You literally go in and it's about your numbers, about everything else. So you have to be ready for everything, I think, and me personally wouldn't go in alone again.
Oh,
if I had to do it again, I would have had somebody with you, because you just get that 2 minutes to calm down if you get a little bit too nervous. They can take that break a little bit, and then you can come back and reassess. So but yeah, I would suggest anybody who would like to do it. Absolutely do it. Why not?
And remembering all those, because you see people and they've prepared the numbers, and then when the dragons start and you're like, come on, why do you not know that number from 1925? You need to know these numbers all the way through until your business, and for some other reason people just forget. Do you think that's fear, or do you think they haven't prepared?
It's a lot of pressure. It is, and I think most people will have really prepared before you go on, because it's a few months. It's not just a couple of days and everything happens, and even on the day of filming, you have time to sit and practice, and they do a few runs with you first. As I said, they're lovely and they do it all the time. So, but yeah, once you go in and you've got all of them stood in front of you, then it is different.
And so did they record like a lot longer and then just edit the snippets?
Yeah, you're in there a while, so I think that's normal, and then they take out the bits that are interesting.
Well, I would have loved to have seen your whole pitch, but my ears pricked when I was like, oh, that accent. I know that accent. I need to speak to that lady.
Well, I'm glad you did.
So after that, and they said that they want to, so you had to then, so it was Tuka Suleiman, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
And do you get to meet with him straight away, or do you meet his team, or how does that all work to finalize things?
Yes, so we obviously had several other meetings and chatted and then worked it out. So we haven't finalized everything yet. So obviously I'm still not allowed to tell everything. But yeah, I've met him a few times. He's lovely. He's very inspiring, and I feel in awe and blessed to even be associated with him. That's been a really big boost too.
Oh, I'm so pleased. But he obviously saw something special in you, because they don't throw their money at anybody. You know, they are very particular about the person. And I know the business means a lot, but I've watched them, and I think that when they can warm to someone, then they, even if the idea is an okay idea, not that yours is okay. I mean, yours is a brilliant idea. I mean, I've never seen shoes actually pitched like that or anything like that in the den before. But I think that they really liked who you are. And I think Tuka is clearly very aware of the kind of person you are from that short time that you spent in the den.
Thank you.
I would have given you money if I had it.
Need to work on being a dragon.
That's a good idea. I'm going to start today to become very rich. So tell me now, obviously you can't share about your business, but where can people currently find out more about what it is that you are doing and the progress, as well as buying from you if they need your shoes? And are you stocked anywhere that they can go and get you?
So what we've decided to, and it has been a long road, because we're going to put it into some of the supermarkets and stuff like that. And then I decided, because it is such a new concept, that we are going to launch a Kickstarter at the end of February. And in true sustainability style, I feel that when we get the order for 10,000 shoes, for instance, on Kickstarter, I will know that every one of those shoes has a home. And for me, that's the way we should be manufacturing. You know, I think if we get used to pre-ordering, then again, it's another way of eliminating shoes going into landfill. You know, wait a little bit of time, but make sure that you are supporting sustainable businesses, you know. And also, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, because you have to understand that when I make the shoe, I have to take £7 into consideration for the recycling of the shoe, that you can send it back to me at the end of life. We're going to have a gift forward where we can clean the shoe, you know, put new straps on or whatever, and give it to less fortunate children too. But that has to be taken into consideration in the price. So it's educating people out there, and we have to find a new way of moving forward and teach our children that, you know.
I think also, you know what, instead of, see, my mother had this philosophy. I remember she said to me in the 70s, when leather jackets became a big thing, the people who spent the money on expensive leather jackets, they had them, they still have them. Mm-hmm. But the people who then bought, you know, the cheaper version, the fake, the plastic, whatever, that lasted a season. And we have to get out of our heads that we don't need 20,000 pairs of shoes, although that would be lovely. But we don't need 20,000. We just need shoes that are quality, that last us a while, and also that we'll wear, because how many pairs of shoes do we have in the cupboard that we don't wear? And then eventually one day you look at it and go, oh, and then you just give it away, throw it away, whatever. So if we invest and spend money and have like 5-10 maximum pairs of shoes, or whatever the number is that people would wear, then that would also make a difference to the planet as well.
Well, that's why the customization of the shoe was also really important. So the kids will keep buying different straps, different colors, and the same with the ladies' shoe. You can literally buy the shoe in every color, but you're not using 10 lots of plastic. You can have 10 straps, but one lot of plastic. And that's really important, to look at what we're buying and how we can change to eliminate the single-use plastics.
That's a brilliant idea. You are so brilliant. That's just amazing. So people can get in touch with you on your website. Is that right?
Yeah. So the website is Heelz with a Z and Toez with a Z.com.
Okay.
And so we'll put the Kickstarter on there. So it's a real good deal. You're getting 2 for the price of 1. And we're going to do a strap that is an exclusive strap, so it'll never be made again. So you can go on the website and join the Kickstarter. That would be awesome.
That's amazing. Now tell me, what is your favorite pair of shoes that you have at the moment? That aren't yours.
It's a pair of shoes that my daughter bought. She was 3, and her dad at the time took her shopping and she picked up these shoes like this in her arm, and they're little pink sparkly shoes, and she bought them for me. And I think it was just such a moment, because she knew me and I love them, and I sometimes don't even want to wear them because I just want to keep them, because it was such a special moment. Oh,
that's amazing. And shoes, you can wear the same outfit and just put a amazing pair of shoes on, and it changes everything about the outfit,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
And to all the guys that are listening out there that go, oh, it's shoes. It's not. Actually, every pair of shoes is a memory of a date, of a wedding, or something that you went to. There's so much more to a shoe than people realize it is. It's a memory. Like, as I said, they are there. And every time I see them, I smile, so.
Yeah, a friend of mine
Memories, ladies.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can make a lady very happy with a pair of shoes. So that should be in the interests of every gentleman.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think I bought
good shoes or piggyback me.
I mean, I remember buying shoes for a friend's wedding, and every time I see them, I think of their wedding and, and their marriage. And it's just it's so true. You really do.
A whole lot of moments there, so.
Oh, that's so true. I've never thought of it that way. And yet it really, it has an impact on our lives without us even realizing it. And the comfort as well, and how we feel about it when we're wearing them. Because if you're painful in a pair of shoes, then the experience is horrible. So, you don't even want to wear them again or remember the experience, irrespective of how you looked. You might have felt uncomfortable. So all of that comes together. Oh, Gaynor, it's so lovely to chat to you. What is your future goal now? You just global domination?
Absolutely. And want to change the way we manufacture shoes, definitely. And there is a museum, the Prada Museum in Venice, where they have the first set of shoes that were ever made. And I would like to have my spot there.
That would be amazing. And we can I mean, I know we don't have a plan for you to die, but when you die, you can have a shoe as a headstone.
Yeah, never thought of that.
That would be amazing. Tell your kids.
I'm going to go write it now.
in the will. Thank you so much for joining us. And if anyone else wants to just kind of check you out on Instagram, where can they find you on Instagram? Is it the same handle?
Yeah, Heelz and Toez, everything. And then on Facebook, it's Gaynor Marie. So yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your shoe addict. And for sharing with us about your amazing journey. And I am so thrilled that I got to chat with you, and I know we're all going to watch your journey with such interest. Keep us posted, and good luck for the Kickstarter.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Lovely. Take care.
Bye-bye.